And with that fabulous introduction, I want to welcome everybody to another edition of Made in the City webinar series from the CUNY Athletic Conference, presented by the Hospital of Special Surgery. I am thrilled in these celebratory times of giving women and girls opportunities in sports that we continue to celebrate, especially the month of February, to be joined by two prominent female leaders from within the City University of New York. Really thrilled to have them on board. Always great to have individuals who started in our system as student athletes and have grown so much to become leaders and individuals who service tomorrow's student athletes within our system. So with that, I'm happy to introduce Kim Santoiemma from the conference office, who's the Associate Director of Operations and formerly Associate Director for our championships, as well as John Jay's Deputy of Athletics, Recreation and Intramurals, Kat Alves. Welcome to our program, ladies. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks for having us.
You know, I would be grossly remiss if I didn't recognize a staple of CUNY sports and the backbone of the conference office for a long time, somebody that gave me an amazing opportunity to grow along with Michael Stoyman when I joined the CUNY Athletic Conference as a wet behind the ears rookie coming out of Hunter College. And that was Eileen Lyons, who was an administrative assistant for so long, who passed this past week. And it just brings so many raw emotions and memory of what a motherly figure, what an awesome person she was to support us, who prodded me for so long. What are you waiting for? Like my mom passed away when I was 29. And Eileen, ever since after that, she's like, hey, Zach, what are you waiting for? When you get married? When are you going to have a family? So not to diverge into another topic, but really use this opportunity to honor her and her memory and thank her for everything and dedicate this webinar to her as we're talking about strong women and strong leaders in college athletics, whether they be in the front row or in the back seat, all the way in the back of the dormitory or of the auditorium, excuse me. Wherever they might be, we get strong leaders everywhere. And she certainly was for me. And I know Kim had a chance, obviously, to work with her as well. So I wanted to dedicate this to her, but not to, diverge from the celebratory moment of them and the opportunity to discuss this with you. I know that we're in the midst of programming conference-wide. Baruch had a great webinar last week on the subject. And I know, Kat, you guys at John Jay putting an awesome platform together for this Thursday, which we'll talk about a bit later. But I wanted to introduce this conversation by sort of starting out with you guys and, tell us a little bit more about where you are and where you got your start and how did you get here. So, Kat, why don't you start us off?
Sure. So I am a graduate from Hunter College, Macaulay from 2009. I was very involved as a student athlete. Kim and Zach know this. I'm kind of the person who just keeps knocking on your door and asking you for things and asking for more and why can't we do this and why can't we do that? So I think it probably was a natural fit that I'd end up working in athletics, but I didn't at first. I graduated with a sociology degree and I got a job offer, which I was thankful for during a massive recession. And I really enjoyed the work, but the funding dried up in nonprofit. And then I did some for-profit work with event planning. I traveled the world. It was a great experience, but at the end of the day, something was tugging at me. I knew what I enjoyed the most was when I was a student athlete. And I knew that I got so much out of that experience and I could give it to others. So I up and quit during a recession. Don't take my advice necessarily, but the truth is I followed my gut and it was the right thing to do for me. I didn't make much money. It was about $10 an hour. And what I did is I reached out to my network, and that was Zach and Carol Casho at the time. And they just, took a chance on me. They didn't pay me very much. They gave me a lot of work, but I got the experience I needed. And at the end of the day, it brought me to where I am now, 8 years in at John Jay in various roles and currently deputy director. So I couldn't be happier in the path that I chose, the places I chose to work and who to work for. I think those things are just so important. I'm sure we'll delve into that a little bit more.
No doubt. We sure will. We got a lot to discuss there. Kim, go ahead.
So I'm a little bit different than Kat. This isn't what I originally had planned to start doing. So I'm a graduate of Lehman College. I should not say the year, but I graduated in 2002. And I graduated to be a high school English teacher. And when I graduated, I looked young. I used to get ID'd by the truant officers, you know, when I went to do student teaching. And I realized that I wasn't ready for that. I'm always a kind of I prove you wrong kind of thing. So everyone expected me to work in athletics of some sort, and here I am 20 years later, almost 20 years later. And I really have to thank Zach and the NCAA had this program, the NCAA Ethnic Women and Ethnic Minority Grant Program. And thanks to that program is what gave me my start, because it allowed me the opportunity to try something new. You know, I graduated, I had no job lined up. It was just let's try this. And sat down with Zach, and thanks to Greg Cohen to give me the opportunity to do this. And I started as an intern with the CUNY Athletic Conference back in 2002. You know, started as a media relations. And because I loved writing, I was a journalist, and really started working my way up. I loved doing special events and event planning, similar to you, Kat. And opposite of you, I never traveled outside of the country until I started working with CUNY. I had to go get my passport, I think a week before the trip for our Goodwill tour. So it was a great experience, and you know, it's helped me become the person I am today. You know, as an athlete, we are leaders on the field, and I always wanted to be a leader of some sort, you know, being a teacher. So this is just taking that and applying it in a different way. What's kept me going is just, you know, I want to share that experience with the others, you know, for the kids that are, you know, in class now and competing now. I always say, like, they're my kids, you know, we're the parents and they're the kids, and you always want better. So that's really what pushes me every day with this position, is try to do better for everyone.
It's interesting that both of you reference the time where you started and the atmosphere around. You know, when I started, and I have no problem saying it, Kim, it was, you know, 1990, 91. And the landscape for women in sports was drastically different. And then as we go into you guys and you coming on board, I want to talk a little bit about that, because what does the landscape look like for women in college administration and college sports? Because, you know, there's a lot of discussion about Division I and the lack of women in top leadership positions, and minorities not being able to kind of hit that, they hit that certain ceiling or perceived ceiling. When I started in CUNY, there was one female athletic director, Susan Larkin at John Jay. Okay, one. And then Terry was coming on board about that time at Hunter. Charles Brown was moving on to UMBC, and she moved into that role. But, you know, it's pretty daunting when you look at it. And I was always, you know, impressed with Susan, because, you know, it was absolutely male-dominated world of the time. And to be fighting with those folks and having discussions and collaborating, you know, it was daunting, I would think. Talk to me about when you guys hopped on board, what that landscape looked like, because certainly I know in the last 10 years, it's a sea of change for the positive. I mean, I referenced earlier, you know, last year, 6 of 9 of our athletic directors were female in the senior colleges in the CUNY system. That's amazing to me. That's amazing progress in a relatively short period of time. So talk to me a little bit about the sea of change that you've seen from being student athletes to kind of like, what, should I do this? Is this right for me? To where you are today. So Kat, why don't you start us off again?
Sure. Yeah, I had the benefit of so many strong women in my life, my mom for one, but you know, it just wasn't surprising to me to see a strong woman. And yet, still, it didn't make sense to me that athletics was a career path. It took me time to get there. And I don't know, Kim, yeah, what you felt, but I had at Hunter, Terry Wansart, AD, Carol Cascio, associate AD at the time, and plenty of other women who were just killing it, doing it for the right reasons, very strong-willed, always prepared. I just had such great examples of what it looked like to be a woman in this position. But I have to say, it still didn't feel right. Something about it. So it's something I had to move towards and understand a little bit more and follow my gut, as I said. But I did have the people around me to show me a path. It doesn't mean it's been comfortable the whole time. There's still many moments, even now, at an institution like John Jay with a female president, female VP, formerly female AD. You know, we're in the right environment, and still there are challenges to be faced in this environment. But I think what sets CUNY apart, what sets John Jay apart, is that we have institutions that care about inclusion and diversity. So we're seeing those changes happen so much faster than the rest of the country.
Absolutely. Kim?
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, it definitely has changed from when I was a student athlete. You know, I never really paid attention to it. And then once I started getting into the profession, I started, and at the time it was Sue Larkin and Terry Wansart at the time. And they were inspiring to me because they weren't afraid to, you know, fight and stand their ground and fight for what was right in a male-dominated, you know, profession. And you mentioned now we have what, six athletic directors or acting athletic director positions, and that's changed tremendously. You know, Kat, you had mentioned Carol. Carol is a huge mentor to me as well, and someone that I would always pick up the phone and go to when I had a question, and she would tell you how it is straight, you know. And it's amazing. It's definitely amazing to see how far we've come, but there is so much more to go. And just, I mean, look at professional sports. We had in the Super Bowl this past Sunday, we had the first female referee, you know, in the Super Bowl. And we have a female assistant coach in the NBA. But if you could count on one hand how many there are, that's a problem, you know, so we definitely have a long way to go with that.
Kim, you know, your trajectory is a little more specific to Kat's, because Kat went from being at Hunter with a strong AD and assistant AD, going to Hostos with a female athletic director, going to John Jay with Carol, female athletic director, with a female president, with President Mason. Her trajectory is a little bit different. You went to Lima with Marty's been there for 30 years. Then you come to CUNYAC, and then, you know, it was Ted and I and Greg. And, you know, talk to us a little bit how you're looking for your mentors who are more like you, who are fighting a sort of that male-dominated world in the college athletics, and the things that you needed to do outside of CUNYAC to kind of feel like, you know, hey, I'm in a space where other people are like me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, exactly what you said, you know, being in a, again, male-dominated world in the, you know, what I've known, I've never felt out of place. I've always felt that my voice mattered. And, you know, thank you for allowing that platform, because, you know, if not, it wouldn't, I don't think I would have stood in the profession. I probably would have tried it out and said, this isn't for me. You know, seeking out the relationships with other athletic directors, like I mentioned, Terry and Carol, and now we have some others that I've been, you know, poking their ear about. It's definitely an opportunity it provided me an opportunity to grow in ways that I didn't see happening. NACWA, I got into NACWA when it was just, you know, starting to be, I know it's no longer NACWA, but that's, you know, I reached out and, networked, and it kind of got me out of my comfort zone, you know, pushing myself out of my comfort zone to get to meet people in the industry and, you know, see what they do. And they gave me the confidence to be able to think of this as a profession. You know, as a young student, former student athlete, you know, we just think closed-minded, you know, we worry about ourselves, and definitely has helped me broaden my horizons. I as you know, Zach, I recently graduated a couple of years ago. I don't even remember how many. The days go by so quick now. From Canisius with a master's in sports administration, and that allowed me to expand again outside of the CUNY world that, you know, we all know. So to get some ideas from people outside and, you know, look outside and looking in and inside looking out definitely has helped. And I could take some of those ideas and bring them back.
No, that's great. You know, unlike then when you started, now you've got, you know, Heather McCullough, Baruch, you got Lydia Travis at City College, you got Terry Wansards at Hunter, you got Shatara Murphy and Medgar Evers, and now you got Georgia Eftelitidis at Lehman, who's an associate in since Marty retired. You also have Kelly Peliquin, an associate at Bronx Community College. You know, there's a lot more women to look up to, even though Danae, you know, Carol retired, and Danae went to become an associate AD at Northwestern D1 a little over a year ago. You know, at least there's some folks there that you say, hey, I could have this relationship. And everybody, like men, you find out very quickly that they all lead in their own different ways. Everyone has their methodology. Kat, you've had the pleasure of going, sort of seeing Carol Cashow specifically, from Hunter Associate to Hostos AD to John Jay AD, and you've been right there with her. And now as the deputy AD at John Jay, what is it about the leadership style that you have seen, perhaps Terry first, and then Carol, that you've spent most of your career with in college athletics? What is it about the leadership styles of the people that you have looked at as mentors that you've liked and said, you know, I want to emulate this? Maybe you don't want to emulate everything, but what are some of those things that you wanted to emulate?
Yeah, it's a great point. I think the common thread, what I so appreciate about all these women is how much they care about students, you know, and that is the guiding factor for everything. I would say the next best thing is how good they are at spotting talent and cultivating it, believing in young people, giving them a chance, giving them flexibility, pushing them. But giving them those platforms that otherwise are really difficult to pay your dues and get there quick. So I'd say those are some of the factors and skills that they definitely brought to the table that make each of their programs grow and sustain themselves a little better. But I'd say, you know, you've got your main mentors, but then you've got so many people along the way. As Kim was talking, I was thinking of the NCAA convention, the millions of things I used to go to with you, Zach. And every time you would pull me over to meet someone new, 50 people new, you know? And that was essential to me. For one, just becoming comfortable. You know, maybe I wouldn't have done it on my own. Maybe those same people wouldn't have talked to me if you hadn't made the introduction. That kind of sponsorship is essential to moving forward. And it doesn't always come from women. It can come from men, you know, but I think you've got to impress the people you've got in your corner. You got to work hard to keep that, and they're gonna help you along the way. And then past that, you help other people do the same thing. So I think every woman I've interacted with does that. Many men do too, and I think that's what I would hope to emulate most.
You know, it's interesting points that you raise. The other thing that I also wanted to mention is that what I always loved about Carol and that leadership style that she had is because she was super competitive. She might have been a coach in her past life. She might have been an athlete in her past life, but she, as taking the AD role at John Jay, and John Jay wasn't on top of the food chain in the CUNY Athletic Conference when she came on board, but she took that to heart as if she's entering a game and she wanted to build the best team that she could to beat the top dogs. And she took that as, so what do I need to do? I need to get better staffing. I have to better coaches. I have to do better recruiting. I have to get better financial resources. There's tons of stuff to wrap your arms around, but she took that as a challenge. So how much is that athletic background and that fighting and that, you know, will to win, how much does that resonate with you still today in everything that you do in your jobs currently?
Well, I'll start and then Kim, absolutely go ahead and add. Just in terms of Carol, I think one of her biggest strengths was her coaching background. And I think I coached for a very short amount of time at John Jay. And even in that time, I learned so much. But her 25 years at a Division I level was essential to guiding her vision as an athletic director. The focus on recruiting, the focus on good coaches, on trying to support them as much as we could. I think that was a really important factor in how she prioritized things. I will say, you know, the competitive spirit certainly helps. You definitely do have to have a bit of a management, you know, skill set and an ability to maintain relationships on campus. So you can't just be win-win-win without also sticking to a plan and managing all the relationships up, down, sideways that need to happen to tell the story and to get the support you want for that vision. So as a team, I think we've come together at John Jay to continue to do that all the time. But yeah, without the competitive, passionate spirit, it's a good starting point for sure. And then I think it just fuels all of the hard work you got to do to make all the other things happen.
Excellent, excellent. Kim?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there with the competitive spirit because, you know, we're all competitive at heart. All athletes are, no one likes to lose. And, you know, me, when I started doing the events and, you know, I saw how I can help improve them. And I saw how a little planning and a little bit more extra work can help improve something, you know, the little things go far. And, remembering back to my championship experience to what we have now is second to none. Like, I can't even imagine. It seemed like, you know, regular season was my championships when I played. And to what we do now is just, you know, amazing. I think that that's what pushes me is to keep putting on the best events and keep providing the best experience for our student athletes. That's my competitive spirit. If I go to events, and it's so funny now that I'm an administrator, I would go to like a Yankee game or any kind of an event like a theater, and I'm like, okay, I could take that. See how the person's welcoming that person, and oh, look at that sign. Oh, how do they have? You know, you're looking at everything differently, and you know, I just wanting to always have better and keeping my eyes open to different experiences and how I can apply that. So the competitive spirit of, and like you said, Kat, I coached as well. So that competitive spirit of, you know, you want to be the best and learn how to improve and build your team. Zach, when I first started, it was us. It was 3 of us. And now look, you know, what's built. And I don't think we could have done it with our staff and without the support staff that we have. And sometimes, you know, staff don't step up to acknowledge themselves. So we definitely need to acknowledge. And that's another thing of being a leader. You need to acknowledge those help you get there, because it's not only, you know, about you. And it's, you know, as a coach, as an administrator, as a captain, as a, you know, a leadoff hitter, you know, you set the stage for everybody. So I agree with the driving force with Carol that we spoke about. You know, she never let up, you know. And there's been times that, you know, in a career, any career, I've, like I said, almost 20 years, there's times that I second guess, you know, is this what I really want to do? And you step back and you look and you're like, wait a minute, yeah, this is it, you know, this is what I want. So I kind of reflect back to them, you know, never giving up.
The interesting point to me also is from my perspective is that Kat and both of you serve the student athletes in such a different way, because Kat's on campus and she has, you know, her coaches, her student athletes, constant presence around her, needing this, needing that. How can you help me with this? How do I support my teams better? For us, Kim, it's a little different at the conference office. Is, you know, we're value add. All we can't duplicate the stuff that they do on campuses. What we can do is try to make their life a little bit better in things that they see and do outside of their playing field at John Jay or elsewhere. So what are some of those things? I know you have a bunch of stuff that you have done to say, hey, how do we support our students outside of giving them a great championship experience? We've looked at some other stuff that you have led the way on. So talk to me about some of those things that you've done.
Yeah, definitely. Again, this program started back when I was an intern, a couple of years into it. I came up with the idea of a leadership seminar. You know, many times as a student, as coaches and administrators, we expect so much of our students and we expect them just to know, you know, and, you know, I thought back of me as an 18, 19-year-old, I didn't know anything. I thought I did. I didn't know anything. So we came up with the concept of a leadership seminar, which helped develop the student athlete professionally and, you know, academically as well as athletically. So my idea behind that was to help prepare them for what being a leader is and how they can, and give them skills that they could take not only onto the field and on the court, but take with them into the classroom and in life after. We focused on plenty of things such as communication skills and, you know, professional things as far as how to write a resume and interview skills and things like that. And I think that over, what have we been doing it now for 15, 16 years? I think something to that, I lost track. I've always gotten great feedback from it, and the student athletes love it and they want more from it. So given this past year that it's been so crazy, we said, well, how can we take this opportunity to help our student athletes grow more? And that's when we came up with this webinar series. This past year, we've started in July, I believe, and we've touched on topics of mental health, which is something that's very rarely spoken about, that this past year has been a huge topic. We've spoken about professional, you know, how to prepare for the future after graduation. How to work out when you're at home, you know, I know things that we're so used to, going to the gym, you know, go and work out in between classes. What can we do when we're at home or we can't go? So nutrition, financial aid, there's been so many things that we've done for the students on that aspect that I hope, you know, that they have found valuable as well. And we hope to, you know, I hope to continue things to that nature.
And because you're the one that's leading the effort on it, we don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but the next 6 are going to be super powerful. Talk About It Tuesdays are going to be really, really strong coming up. So thanks for doing that. We do have a question from the audience, and Kim, it is for you, from Julia Catone, our proud SAC member from Baruch College. She said, I have a question for Kim. I'm currently working on the journalism track, but you're unsure exactly what I want to do in the future. How did you know that you wanted to work in athletics and not be like a sports reporter or something more journalism focused?
Well, easy for me, because I get nervous when I'm in front of a camera. No matter if it's 200 people or 2 people, I get nervous. So I was always the writer. I'm the behind the scenes kind of person. I loved writing as a undergrad, and my senior seminar, we had to do some sort of internship, and I started writing for the school newspaper because our newspaper at the time had no coverage of any of the athletics. And I was a 5th-year senior. So I said, well, why not give back? You know, this was my first give back to my friends, you know, that were working hard and getting no recognition. So that was the start of it. And I mean, I didn't go into this thinking that I was going to work in college athletics. I graduated and I said, I have no job. I need something. And then this opportunity came to me, and I mean, it was a 2-year program, and then we applied for another program, another grant that allowed me to stay on for another 3 years. And it was just the experience as a whole, and everything that I was learning. The hands-on learning is second to none. It was better than anything I could have ever read in a notebook or gotten in a class. You know, so it was just taking that experience and that's what made me want to stay in the world of athletics rather than being a sports reporter or a journalist. And the other part is when I was looking for my master's for journalism, the amount of money that I would have had to pay to go to grad school was outrageous. So I said, hey, why not stick with this?
And I would add to that, Julia, is that in New York City, because it is the media capital of the world, stick to doing what you love. So along the lines of Kat and Kim are talking about, you could still do athletic administration if you love that, if that's a passion. And yet you could still do things in journalism in New York City. I mean, I'll just say that I've done it for the past 30 years. I've been in the CUNY system for all this time working. Yet at the same time, I'm doing projects on the side in the summer, whenever they're available, and did some journalism, producing and other things that I'll be able to do because you take advantage of the fact that in New York City. So we really get a lot more in New York City than most people elsewhere. And absolutely, I think everything for Kim and Kat and for me really starts out with internships. It's really important. The other thing that's really important, Kat, is, you talk about having great mentors. And at the same time, how are you now transitioning now that you're a seasoned veteran, and Kim as well, but I'll start with you, Kat. How do you transition from having had strong mentors in your life that look like you now that you're saying, well, what do I do now? How do I do that and flip the switch and be a mentor for other people who want to enter this profession? What are you able to do at John Jay or in general in that space?
It all comes down to relationships for me and being accessible. So first to our students, because I want to make sure they always know they've got someone to talk to. And it is different in my role. I'm an administrator. I'm in front of my computer, sort of behind the scenes, lots of meetings. So that part really hurt as I changed roles along the way, is that I wasn't getting the student athlete interactions. So there was a point that I very intentionally thought I need to find ways to be communicating with our students. So obviously I have an open door policy, dropping by practices, chatting in the hallway, that sort of thing. So I think sometimes that helps, letting women know that they've got someone to talk to about their careers, even if it's outside of athletics. And then where you can give opportunities, you do it. You do it within the department, or you connect them to people that they want to work with. So utilizing my network to make connections for either former interns or people who want to get some experience somewhere. So those are some of the ways. And then I think now, as I am becoming seasoned, as you said, I'm able to change, I think, the way I'm approaching my work and role in the department by looking at the other women in our department and, creating those spaces to talk about, it's about the job, but it's also about your own career and what you want to do with it and what steps can you take. So, I mean, Kim talked about NACWA. It's now Women Leaders in College Sports, and I'm very involved, and I just push these opportunities on them. And I say, here's the deadline, make sure you do it. And sometimes when someone's on you, holding you accountable and supporting you, helping you through an application process or something like that, it can go a long way to taking advantage of those opportunities. Some people do it on their own. Some people need a little push. So, just working with each person to figure out what it is they want for themselves. Even if it's not directly tied to John Jay's work, it's very important to me that they find what it is that's a good fit for them and where they want to grow.
Absolutely. Kim?
So yeah, I think first thing is open door policy. Everyone knows that you can call me, text me. Probably text right now is better. But the kids being home is fun stuff. But I'm always there to listen and also to learn from you, because we've had some great interns in the past couple of years, and college assistants and to that nature. And they not only learn from us, but we learn from them. Sometimes we get stuck in our ways because that's how we've always done it. So that's how we're going to do it. And, they open up our eyes to realize that, maybe we're the old people now, we need to start changing. But I think, Kat, like you said, relationships are key. People have to be able to know that they could come and talk to you. And same thing, that you can go and talk to them. So giving back, I mean, to that nature, I haven't been on the committee the past 2 years because I had to take like a 2-year hiatus. But I mentioned earlier that I got my start in this career due to the Women and Ethnic Minorities Internship Grant Program. And I sat on that selection committee for 4 years. And that was my way of giving back as well, because if it wasn't for that program, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So I wanted to make sure that I gave back, and I plan on trying to get back on that program. You kind of have to sit out for a couple of years before you're back on it, on the committee. But you know, that is huge to me, is that stays there. And when I was on the committee, I definitely always expressed my voice on there about the importance of it. You know, the importance that if it wasn't for this program, and Portia, we were both, the two of us, I think, are still involved in college athletics from the inaugural class way back when. You know, so I know we both feel very passionate about that program, and we give back. And again, just connecting, you know, the upcoming professionals, giving them the opportunity to, you know, do internships. And in our conference, we're different from the schools because we're not that one-on-one connection with the students. And I do miss that. I miss that a lot. You know, having just to see the kids. I miss hearing the noise of the gym. I do. I miss that about Lehman. We used to have our offices right over the gym, and hearing that ball bounce, it drove us crazy back then, but I kind of miss it. You know, just letting them know that I'm here, and if you have any questions, I can answer, because I've pretty much done every role. I started as a media relations intern and has gone up. So there's not much from the conference aspect that I haven't touched on, you know, so.
So this could be used as a shameless plug, Kim, to say that we accept women interns at the CUNY Athletic Conference to be directly mentored by you. Is that okay, Fit?
There you go. That's fine with me.
The other thing that I wanted to touch upon, which I think is really important from my vantage point, because we've had a common ground and touch points. And then I would add Karina Jorge from City College, Associate AD, who also worked with us at the conference office first. The common ground for me was that I saw a common denominator in all of you. And Kat touched upon it earlier when she said, didn't pay us much, but worked our butts off. You know, you guys got a lot of work to do, and everybody. So to me, that resonates and touches upon the key word. If you work in college athletics, it's passion. It's what you love. You know, it's not about, I see that you guys are going to get the job done. Even if you don't understand it yesterday or learning about it today, tomorrow you're going to know it, because you're going to want to be better, and you want to be passionate, and you want to serve the students better. So to me, the piece that's not on the resume is the passion, is more important than sometimes a lot of the words that are written on their resume. That you could only get through talking to people, interviewing them, and seeing their everyday approach to what they do. And that's where the internships are huge. And that's where those small opportunities are huge. I always tell folks, use the internship opportunity to get your foot in the door and show what you could get done, because that's going to be far more powerful than the resume, the piece of paper with all the letters, numbers on it. You know, it's far more important. And that's what I saw in you guys. And, you know, it's there to this day. It continues because you care, and you want to show that you want them to do better. You want best for them, same way somebody, when you were a student athlete, wanted the best for you. So it leads me into the, you know, transition into, what are your goals? Where are you guys headed from all the awesome things that you've accomplished? What is next for Kat and for Kim?
Want to go first?
I'd like to be an athletic director as soon as possible. I love our CUNY students. I love John Jay. So this is my goal. Is what I've been working for. I feel ready, and then at the same time, I know that I have so much to learn. But it's just so important to have a good team and be in it for the right reasons. But that's my stated and upfront goal.
I think we're on the same page with that one. So we're going to be ADs at some point against each other, but it's okay.
With each other.
Well, with each other, but opposite schools. We can't have two ADs in the same school. But, you know, as I said, I definitely miss that interaction with the students, and it's been a goal of mine to be an athletic director where I can not only make a change for, you know, the whole like we do now, but you know, I want that one-on-one. I miss that interaction, and that's definitely something, a goal of mine, to take what I've learned over these years and now apply it to my kids, you know, my kids, because I definitely will be that AD that's in the stands yelling and cheering and probably yelling at the refs every now and then too when we shouldn't be, but you know, very passionate. And Zach, you touched on it. When you do something that you love, it's not work, you know, and you always, that's how I think that's how we've all gotten through this, you know, this, especially this past year. You know, you do what you love and you want better for those around you. So I think being an athletic director is my goal. And, you know, yeah, there's things I still need to learn, but I didn't know everything when I first started, and look where we are now, you know? So I definitely would be able to do the same at a school. And I can't, when the time comes, when everything's right, it'll happen.
I only want you to consider going one step in a different direction.
Yeah, I know. You want the other one. It's all right.
Just like Portia Hogue is now the commissioner at Centennial Conference, I'd want you guys as doers and big picture thinkers to impact more people by you know, what I love about our role at CUNY is that we impact 13 campuses and student athletes at 13 campuses. Not directly every day like you do, Kat, but in a different way. So, you know, I want also people to think about it that way. I love that you guys are there. I love that Karina Jorge is there. I love that you guys are in a position for that next step and you're ready to go. At the same time, I think it's really important that we look at how do we impact the world around us in a bigger and better way. And when you have that passion and you have that knowledge and that experience that backs it up, you know, it could really go to, you know, another level.
Yeah, Zach, I think that's actually a really good point. I just want to comment on is that I struggled a lot earlier in my career understanding if I wanted to be at a conference or a campus. And now having done both, for me, I enjoy a campus atmosphere. And I think it's just a different way to look about impact, because I totally get what you're saying. That's what I used to say, like, oh, it's 1,000 student athletes, you know, or rather several thousand student athletes and not, you know, 220 or whatever our number is, you know, but yes, that makes sense. And that's really impactful if that's what works for you. And we're in a single university system, so that's really powerful at times too. And then the other way to look at it for me on a campus level is that your bloodhounds forever. So yes, it's thousands of student athletes, but it's over the course of so many years, and you get to see all of their journeys continue and come back when they get their first job, or, you know, that great thing that they were talking about doing when they were a sophomore or something, you know? So I think that's what really, you know, inspires me. And that's how I made that decision, but that's for every person to decide on their own. Because there's definitely huge strengths on both sides of conference office versus campus.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Having experience in both, you know, an administrator, and there's those relationships again are second to none. You know, I'm still friends with the women that I coached. They still call me coach, which is crazy, but you know, that's what I want. You know, yes, we get to have an impact on the greater good, you know, the greater number. But for me, it's again the one-on-one relationships, and that's what drives me for that. And maybe later on in, you know, my career, I can go be a commissioner. But you know, I think it's also it's a challenge for me having, I feel, you know, not say conquered, but I kind of grasped the concept of the conference, and I want the new challenge of the campus. So
yeah, I mean, you know, coming from a fabulously diverse city like New York City that we call home, I think it, you know, I'm looking for you guys to lead the way in playing it forward and, building up a network of strong, diverse women and men who are going to follow in your footsteps and be the great leaders, because we're trying to, leave a place better than we found it. So, we've got, I think for the first time ever, president and vice presidents of a senior college division are Heather and Shatara. I don't think that's happened before. That's phenomenal. You got, Carrie and Aaron at the Baruch in the wings. You got Karina at CCNY. You got UCAT at John Jay. You got Georgia, brand new at Lehman. You got a lot of people in the space, but I think I would challenge everyone. This is a lot better than it was 20 years ago, but it's still got ways to go. We still got to build up a network of not one or two leaders, but 10 and 20. So that way, everyone around the country, I could tell you, there's a question about careers and going forward. The stuff that we talk about, that's fresh in these past 10, 11 months around the country, diversity, Black Lives Matter, a lot of issues that are coming to the forefront that we've lived through in New York City for a long time. I say, when people talk to me about, well, they just started a diversity division or they hired somebody in a diversity position in the office, I'm like, this is what we've been doing for 30 years. Because just by being in New York City, you can't help but to be embroiled in it and be a part of it. So I want to just kind of get your thoughts around that subject from a female perspective, from a female leader in the CUNY system, about where this can lead and how you see the next chapter of athletic administrators in the CUNY system.
I think you're right that we are in a natural haven for being inclusive. And yet, I also think that it is so important now more than ever to be very intentional about being inclusive. And there's a difference there of appreciating it and being intentional. When you have the power, doing something about it. So I think, if I'm in a position to hire, I will be intentional about it. And in every way, there's so many policies, there's so many ways we do business, our cultures, in our departments, et cetera, that can always have another look at it, about being a little more intentional about how we absolutely are welcoming and inclusive to everyone. So I think it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of being accountable for our actions, pushing others to do the same. But yeah, I'm so excited because when we're more diverse and inclusive, we're just better, we're just badass, so we just got to do it, but we've got to do it intentionally and with purpose.
That's a powerful statement. Thank you,
couldn't have said it any better. I mean, if we all think the same, then where are we going? We're staying where we are. So we definitely need, some diverse thinking, and that creates change. And change is good. Change is not bad. I know we don't like change, but change is good. And I can't even have said it any better. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Good. We have some very good statements from Jamie and Carrie. Thank you for that. Alyssa has a question for the two of you. What would be your one biggest piece of advice for those who are graduating or just recently graduated when it comes to landing a job?
I'll jump in and then
yeah, go for it.
I say all the time. When we do these internship seminars and things to that nature, I always tell them, don't say no. Don't be closed-minded into what you think you want to do. Take in all of the knowledge and all of the experience you can get. Sometimes you realize what you want to do through doing it. Yeah. Again, I never thought I would be here. And if I didn't have that opportunity, I would probably be a teacher, bored. This is college athletics. I mean, we get to play ball and for a living. Like, granted, it's not us playing anymore, but, virtually through them. So yeah, I would just say, take in all of the experiences you can. Don't be so closed-minded. And I know, Julia, you were asking earlier about journalism. You can still take that journalism love and, work with your athletic department, work with your sports information department. You can write highlights about student athletes and coaches, and you know, highlight and still get your writing fix, you know, your journalism fix, but you're also learning new things at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You got to get that experience. You got to be ready not to get paid for it. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, if you know what you want to do, you have to put your plan together. So you got to get the experience. You need to know who your resources are around you. I constantly talk to our student athletes. Your professors are resources. They're in the field most of the time, especially in CUNY, doing a really amazing work. And they can not only tell you about what their job is like, in a way that inspires you. It can be, like Kim said, it could turn you off. And that's a good signal too. You save a lot of time knowing that this role, I think I did a internship with a state senator. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to compromise with anyone. I just want to do what I do. So that was a useful experience for me. Had I not done it, I could have gone a different way and not reached my goal faster. And I think lastly, I would say is that you have to invest in yourself. So what I mean by that is sometimes, again, using your own money to get experiences. I think this year and the forthcoming years will be a little different because so many resources are free. You attend events, you know, that are in your field. These virtual events, connect with the panelists. You'd be surprised how many people will still answer your email if you say, I was inspired by what you said. I had some questions. This is what I want to do next. People do want to move people along. You won't get 100% of the time, but you'd be surprised how often folks want to help each other out and grow that next generation and inspire others. So I'd encourage you, even if it feels a little fearful, to do those things and to start cultivating those relationships. You got to just jump in head first at the end of the day. And I want to say one more thing, Zach, that came up a little earlier. You're going to have bosses that bring you along for the ride, as Zach did at conventions, Carol always did. And then you may have some that are sort of, you know, they give you your job, you do it well, they support you. And you might even get someone who's maybe not supportive. Either way, wherever that is on the spectrum, you have to ask for the responsibilities. You have to just keep asking for more work. Even if you're not getting paid more or you don't see a title change in your future, you need to get experiences. Those are so much more important than any title or pay scale that you're going to get. So, I mean, it was just crazy to me. I was like, all right, I need to do capital projects. Put me in charge of this. I want to be in that meeting. You have to be really direct about it, but it has to be stated along a path that you know you want to get to. So I know I want to get here. And to get there, I need these experiences. Will you let me start? So I think it's really important to communicate those things, not wait for them to come your way.
I would absolutely echo what Kat just said. Ask for responsibilities that you want, because I can't read your mind as to what you want. You have to be able to say it and not be afraid to say it. Say, I'd love to learn more about that. That really interests me. That's really important. The other thing, Kat, that you said that resonates to me as well is do the internships, and then out of those 2 internships, like pick 3 doing your undergrad career that you say, I would love to work for that company. And then you go there and you see how it is on the inside and you go, oh my God forbid if I have to work here every day. So you get both ends of the spectrum, but the only way you find out is if you're there or talking to people that are in there that have experiences. So I think that's really, really powerful for you to know where you're going. And then when you are there, ask for things that you want to be more involved in, because no one really can read your mind unless you're out front and center about it and you push for what you want. And then, I'm happy to support if I know what you want. If I don't know what you want, and if you don't state it, then I'm going to keep giving you work that you're doing right now. What else am I going to give you? Because you're not pushing for more, you're not asking for more. And the more diverse you are, the more versatile you are, the more valuable you're going to be to an employer. So when somebody says, hey, can you do this? Yes, I can do that. Can you do this? Yes, I can do that. If I don't know, I'm going to learn and I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it done. So be the one that gets stuff done, and you're going to pop up to the top of the food chain very quickly.
Yeah, on that same note, I wanted to also suggest, like, get out of your comfort zone. especially someone that's just getting into it. And even those that have been doing it for a while, getting out of your comfort zone is great because yes, it scares you, but if it scares you, it means that you're doing something right. You know, you want to learn new things, and you know, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So like getting into and involving yourself in every aspect, you'll learn that way. You'll learn like it, or if like Kat said, you said, heck no, this isn't for me, you know. And that's in every aspect. So get out of your comfort zone, push yourself to do things that you never thought you would do, and you know, great things happen, and you'll feel better after. You'll definitely feel better after.
And Kim, you've certainly led the way with that, with all the webinars you've been able to put together over the past 6-7 months that have been really educational and value add for our students. I know, Kat, in leading to the next chapter of our conversation, we're talking about doing something, you're talking about doing something and doing something really unique on Thursday. Why don't you tell us a bit more about that, because it's a continuation of this kind of a conversation and giving women more opportunities in college athletics.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. On Thursday at 1:45 on Zoom, so open to absolutely everyone, we're celebrating National Girls and Women in Sport Day at John Jay with a panel discussion. We have the Honorable Dharma Diaz from District 37 in City Council, who's the chair on the Women and Gender Issues Committee of City Council, opening our program. And then we just got 3 amazing panelists. We've got Emma Randall from Beat the Streets. Zach, you may know her because she's so heavily involved in getting women's wrestling as an emerging sport in the NCAA. We've got Shanae Joy Jones, who's a local New York City gal, the founder and CEO of Grow Our Game. She works with young girls to empower them through basketball, and very involved with the Knicks organization as well. And last, but certainly not least, Ariana Vanderpool Wallace. We're super excited. She is an Olympic swimmer. She swam in the 2008, 2012, and 2016 Olympics. She was a swimmer at Auburn. And she was the first woman from the Bahamas to final in an event, I think in the 50 free, both in 2012 and 2016. So it's always great to have the first and hopefully never the last. But I think what is really important to us in this discussion, when you talk about National Girls and Women's Sport Day, there's so many ways to look at it. So I'm glad we had today's conversation about athletic administrators. I think for us on Thursday, it's also about how you impact communities through having girls play sports. How does it affect their confidence? How are they involved in their communities as a result? So I think that's going to be one of the themes that we're going to try to really dig into, about when you have access, when you don't, and when you do, what some of the positives are. So we're super excited, and I'll ask maybe Matt to put the registration link in the chat.
Excellent, please do. You know, it's always amazing to see that to the questions posed about, you know, where people could get into and how they get involved. If we could get a sociology major and an English major to become strong advocates and strong leaders in intercollegiate athletics, then I think, you know, we're going to do something right, and look forward to doing this a lot more. Like I said, we have some really strong programming coming up that Kim has put together. Looking forward to the conversation on Thursday, Kat, and continuing to make CUNYAC a better place to be, in our member schools, resources and sources of future employees and future professionals, as we want to make sure that we leave what we've done thus far in even better hands, those that are going to do it even better than we've done it. So really look forward to that. And I thank you both. Do either of you have any closing comments?
I would just say we're not done yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, get at it, gals. Get at it.
I love it. I echo that.
Feel free. I was just going to say, if anyone had any questions or they wanted to pick my brain a little bit more, and I'm sure that was the same, feel free to contact us. Our emails are on our websites, and then, you know, we could set up some time to talk.
Excellent. Excellent. Really appreciate that. And thank you all for your time. Really admire both of you for everything that you've done. And I'm going to admire you even more for everything that you're going to do. So best wishes. Have a great day. And thank you all of us for joining us on the CUNYAC webinar series, Made in the City, Female Leaders from Within. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.